Today is a very special day. We have something to celebrate. It's Kourtney Kardashian's 40th birthday. Well, it was yesterday. Tomato, tomato, you know she's going to go on celebrating for a really long time. It's not like once the clock strikes midnight, she's done celebrating. No. So I thought, in honor of her turning the big 4-0, which is like kind of wild, I thought we would take a deep dive look at her relationship history, the pathology that goes along with that, and what we all can learn from Kourtney's love wins and her love losses. But first, just want to remind you guys that if you have a love question of your own and want some one-on-one chit chat with me, find me on the Instant Go app. My username is ShallonXO and click chat to get connected right away. And follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter at ShallonXO. And Happy Endings is back. So Happy Endings, if you guys don't know, is at the end of the video, I do a sex or hookup tip. And since we're talking about Kourtney today, we're going to be talking about someone who loves herself very much. So today we're going to be talking about how to love yourself. You know what I mean? So stick around to the end. You will not be disappointed. So back to Kourtney. It's important to know that guys think Kourtney is the hottest Kardashian. I'm putting that out there as evidence because that makes me want to take a closer look at all the things she's doing right and how I can apply that to my life. I think guys like her because, number one, she's had like the least amount of plastic surgery. Not none, by the way, but the least. So she looks the most natural. But overall, it's her vibe. I mean, Kendall hasn't had any plastic surgery. Well, she has now, but like historically, you know, Kendall's not like surgerized Kendall. But Kendall has a completely different vibe. She's a weird one, and we can do a deep dive on her. Weird. But Kourtney's vibe is like, I don't fucking need you. I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't need you. I am too cool for school. And guys are like, I think that's why they don't like Khloe. And because I think right now, I've always thought Khloe was really pretty. I've never thought she was like the ugly one. She labeled herself that. And I've done a whole deep dive video on her victim mentality and her emotional payout that she's getting from it. But she, I think, on paper is just as pretty as Kourtney, but it's her vibe that she's giving out. She's giving off a vibe of complete desperation. I've said this a million times, but the woman literally had as her Instagram bio for like 8 years, I crave a love so deep the ocean would be jealous. Blah! Like, I cannot think of anything more repellent to a guy if like they just went to her profile. It's like, ugh, I don't think so. Kourtney, on the other hand, is just like, who do you think you are? So let's talk about why she is like that, you know? Well, so there's a good side and a bad side to Kourtney, and I think it's more fun to talk about the bad first, so let's do that. So the bad side to Kourtney is what we can construe as like narcissism. And I've talked before about Kim's narcissism, and the more I like think about after I did that video, I'm like, I don't know that Kim really is that narcissistic. I mean, she is, but not to the degree that like Kanye West is, you know, and maybe not to the degree that Kourtney is. And I'll tell you why. Because Kourtney has this vibe. Like I said, I don't care. Narcissists don't need you. And Kourtney doesn't seem to need anybody. She's not so like pathologically addicted to attention and like being right though. Well, she is kind of addicted to being right. Kourtney's overall thing is control. Kourtney is a controller with a capital K. I think her being the oldest, she watched her mom, I mean, she's been around her mom the most, she's the oldest, she's watched her mom live this sort of dynamic where it's like, she's the head of the family and it's going to be her way or the highway, but there's a degree of disconnection, you know? Like, Kris doesn't need her family. She needs the fame, she needs all these things. And I'm not saying Kris is a bad mom, she isn't, but like, Kris has always needed a lot of shine for herself. And I think Kourtney kind of modeled that in a way, like she's going to be the head bitch in charge. Maybe a lot of oldest children are like that. But this control thing manifests in a few ways. Number one, her relationship with Scott. Everyone was always like, why does she stay with Scott? Why does he's such a shitbird. He's cheating on her all the time. Do you know why? Because she is, in effect, in control. Now, how can that be possible? Her boyfriend is like drunk, hooking up with other girls. That's true. But then what does Kourtney get to do? Whatever she wants. When you are the less messy person in a relationship, you kind of win by default. So whatever Kourtney chose to do, the fuck was Scott going to say about it? I remember the episode where she called Scott as after they broke up and she's like, hey, I just want to let you know that I went to dinner with a guy and I got photographed, so I just want to give you a heads up. And he went ballistic. And she's on the phone laughing. Like Chloe was like, listen, and Kourtney's laughing her ass off at how upset Scott was. Now, of course, he'd been like horn dogging around with like 10,000 girls. But notice Kourtney wasn't upset. She thought that was funny because that was her little puppet master thing. When you're dating someone who's a mess, what are they going to say to you? Oh, you took the kids for 2 months. And did you even remember their birthday? Remember when you shoved money in that waiter's mouth? Oh, so it's like nothing you do is ever going to top what they're doing. So you kind of get to be in control. There's very little oversight. No one's telling you what to do. You're the boss. It's interesting when you think of it like that. And after her and Scott were over, who does she date? Young guys. I mean, I date young guys too, very young. And I mean, yeah, I do it not because I want control over them. I don't want control over them. I want to feel like I have more control in the relationship. You know what I mean? And older guys are very manipulative. They assume that every girl their age or close to their age is like desperate for a ring and kids. I do not want either, thank you. But they still conduct themselves as though I do. They'll ghost, they'll act petty, they'll be ridiculous. And if you call them on it, their response is, fine, fuck you, bye, I'll trade up to a 25-year-old. Younger guys are much more eager to please because they want to be good enough for the older chick because that's like the dream. It's such a feather in their cap. It's like this older chick who could have any guy she wants me. So guys who are younger, and I've said this in a lot of videos, they're more amenable to changing from my experience, certainly. Like you call them out on something like, oh, and they appreciate that you know who you are and that there's no bullshit. Because girls, when we're all younger, we're like, like, who even am I? Like, I'll be anyone you want me to be. Please just love me. You know, that is the folly of youth, and it sucks. But when you get older, like, you literally don't have the energy to be like that. I don't have the energy to, like, twist myself into a pretzel and try to decide what a guy wants me to be. I'm like, this is me. You don't like it, bye. And guys are like, oh, wow. Like, they respond so well to that because it's kind of a leadership trait, and we're pack animals. We all like leaders. So that's another place where she gets a little bit of control. The third place she gets control is her children. Mommy rules the roost. Mommy especially is the little tyrant when dad's the mess. You know, like parenting decisions, who's it going to come down to? Is Scott actually thinking he's got an equal vote in all this? No, he didn't even have a vote about getting pregnant in the first place. She like sprung all of this on him. It's her world. Everyone else is just living in it. And it's another thing that's interesting about narcissists. And I don't know if Kourtney's like an actual like narcissist, but people who are, they're very good parents to very young children. But then when the child starts to like break off and like have their own proclivities and their own friends and they want to go do their own thing, a narcissist does not take that well. It's like, oh, you don't want to sit on my lap for breakfast? Fine, I'm not talking to you for the rest of the day. And they won't. And the child's like, oh, you know, they internalize this and it's like, I'm not good enough. And they're forever trying to get their parents' attention. And then they get an attachment disorder. And I have had therapists tell me that that's where we get borderline personality disorder. Maybe it is, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but it creates something very bad. You know, when you have a parent who refuses to engage with you and who withholds consciously or unconsciously, that fucks somebody up. So, and I'm not saying Kourtney does that necessarily. I think she's a good mom, but it is interesting that she has so many kids. Like, that kind of doesn't fit her vibe from the outside. She's very like, I don't care, whatever. Like, she doesn't seem like the maternal type, but maybe she is enticed by motherhood because it's another little kingdom that she gets to be the queen of. That's interesting. And sorry, something just like vibrated in my house and didn't know what it was. So that's kind of the downside of Kourtney. But let's talk about the upside. Let's talk about what we can learn from her because there is a lot. First of all, let's talk about my boobs. They're out. I decided to dress sexy for this video because I felt like it. Because I was like looking at Kourtney's Instagram all day and she's got her boobs out, her butt out. She's in a bikini all the time. And I'm like, you get it, girl. Yeah. I have people on my channel, when they want to insult me, they either say, they talk about two things. My eyebrows. Okay, I didn't know, sorry, you pick an advice person based on their eyebrows. I must have missed that memo. I thought you picked them based on their advice. So if you go and see a therapist and you don't like her eyebrows, you just leave? Is that, do you want to just check in with the Advice Eyebrow Council of America? Oh, wait, that doesn't exist? Oh, that's weird. So they talk about my eyebrows, or they talk about that I'm old. You're old. No, I'm not. I might be older than you, but I am not old. But you know what? Let's say that I am. Let's say I'm 500 years old. I'm like a crypt keeper. I'm a vampire woman. Let's say I'm 50. I look good and I like myself. And I don't see why I should show it off because I've hit a number on the calendar. I'm not 50. I'm not 40. I'm nowhere near there. So I just admire Kourtney for also bucking that trend. I read a quote the other day that said like something like people above you, people who are doing better than you are never going to be the ones criticizing you. It's always going to be people who aren't doing as well. And I think that's so interesting. It's like the CEO of a company is not going to come for me. You know, another hot chick isn't going to come for me on Instagram. It's the ugly people. It's the ugly people who are trying to tear someone down because their own ego feels threatened by how I'm living my life. So when people feel threatened, when their ego feels threatened, they do something called leveling. They either puff themselves up, I too am awesome, or they cut the other person down. You know, we see this a lot with guys in dating. If they're threatened by you, they're going to puff up their achievements, or they're going to be like, oh, okay, so you're a Rhodes Scholar. Cool, whatever. You know? And it's friends do that a lot. Friends do it a lot. And I see it with people making comments on the internet. And I'm sure Kourtney does too. And it's like, if you feel good and you look good, and if you don't look good, if you feel good, like you are allowed to express that. And I give Kourtney props. It's like, just because she's a mom doesn't mean she's not sexy anymore. And that is the most juvenile way of thinking, because I used to think that, you know, like when I was younger, it's like, ugh, like these women who are older dressing like that. It's like, well, she looks good. And like, sorry, she didn't hit a number and was like, well, I guess I lay down and die now. I just put on a bathrobe and never get out of it. No, be hot. You can be hot and like into your 50s, your 60s, fuck, your 70s. Have you seen my mom? She has a smoke show. And ironically, she looks like Kris Jenner. I won't even tell you how old her boyfriend is. It's really disturbing. I don't want to talk about it. But she's a hottie. And she's a hottie simply because she's just like, well, I am, you know? And that is a beautiful thing. And that brings me to another point about Kourtney, the confidence. She might be controlling with a K. She's also confident with a capital K. Sorry, I feel like I'm like, wow, like swallowing my words today. So I've done some videos on confidence before. I have a whole playlist on it, actually. And one of my best ones is how to fake confidence. Because nothing's worse when you're feeling unconfident and you ask someone how to fix it. Like, I don't know, just like be yourself, be confident. And you're like, thank you. That's so helpful. Why didn't I just think of that and then do it? There's a lot of situations where you're not going to feel 100%. You're not going to feel like you're king of the world, but you got to go in there and rock it anyway. Prom, a business meeting, a party, a new group of friends, a new town. Believe me, I've been there and I know. The life I live, magazine editor, I'm kind of a girl about town in New York City. I am in these situations constantly. The other week, I went to a party. Emily Ratajkowski was there. Yay! That's not the person you want to sit next to at dinner. You're like, wow. So if you think like, oh, the girl in your sorority is intimidating, let me tell you, and I'm not saying this to like brag. I'm not saying it to level and puff myself up. I'm saying it because when the case studies I have experienced are legit, like I'm near actual supermodels. I'm near actual famous people. So when I tell you this method works, I mean, I've tested it in a pretty tough market. So how I fake confidence is I pick a confidence idol. And when I was younger, it was Paris Hilton. Because when you think about it, Paris Hilton is like unembarrassable. She has never acted embarrassed or sorry in her life. Sex tape, whatever. Like it just blows by her. I'm like, wow. And then as I got older and Paris became less relevant, Kourtney, like we said, does not give a fuck. Too cool for school. She's also too cool for labels. She's going to go to Coachella if she wants to. She's not too old. She's going to go to that music festival, whatever. She's going to hook up with Justin Bieber, does what she wants. And I'm like, oh, yes. And she also walks into every event assuming she is the queen of it. That's incredible. So when you're feeling insecure, kind of pretend you're in a play and you have been cast as the role of Kourtney Kardashian or whoever your confidence idol might be. It's better if it's a celebrity versus like someone you know, but someone you know will still work. So when I go into something, I'm like, tonight, starring in the part of Kourtney Kardashian, Shallon Lester. And I swan in, you know, I do the Kourtney mannerisms. I even do the Kourtney voice. I'm from Southern California. This is actually how I talk. I'm like Elizabeth Holmes in these videos, putting on a deep professional voice. it's actually this. Sorry about that. But it makes me feel better. Like it works. It's like I sort of have this armor on, this shield. And when you're in a situation of stress, your mind is suffering cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance means the circumstances don't match up with what you want to be happening. And so you're constantly in this like tension in your mind. You're at war. It's very, very uncomfortable. It creates a lot of stress. And your body, your mind wants a way out. It wants an off ramp from this feeling. So if you're like, hey, we're actually Kourtney Kardashian, your mind's like, sounds good. That's fine. I accept it, full stop. So you really step into this role quickly and your mind melds with that. And pretty soon the confidence that you're faking is real. You're like, actually, that party went great. So, where does Kourtney end and where do I begin? I don't know. And then pretty soon her confidence is actually yours. And you don't need to kind of play that role anymore. It becomes automatic. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You start to think like, well, every party I go to is fun because people love me because I'm a bad bitch. And you realize you're not even like fake Kourtneying the bad bitch vibe. This just is. Oh, one more bad thing about Kourtney, the controlling thing. She's always late. I forgot to mention. The thing started vibrating and I forgot. She's always late. People who are chronically late, they do it to manipulate others. And I'm not saying they do this consciously, but it's the feeling of you will all wait until I get there. The party does not start until I walk in. And that's a fun thing to think about a party. It's not so cute when it's about a business meeting and everyone's waiting for you and everyone's been there for a half hour and they're pissed. It's rude, but it's another control tactic. And again, it goes back to like everything about her is control based. So the last point that I love about Kourtney, and I mentioned this sort of in other videos, is she doesn't really love anyone. Everyone she dates, she loves them just a little bit less. And the best advice I got, I don't know if it was from my grandmother or from Nene Leakes. I'm not kidding you. I don't know. It was, you should always love a man a little bit less than he loves you. And that is true. Not that you shouldn't love him at all. I mean, of course, you know, but it's like, you should not have this vibe of, I need you. I love my boyfriend because I want him. I don't love him because I need him. And who am I going to be without you? I know exactly who I'm going to be. I'm going to be fucking Shallon Lester, baby. Who wouldn't want to be me? He's an accessory. He's a complement. He's not the completion to my life. You know, he's a wonderful bouquet of flowers in the apartment of me. The apartment's fine without the flowers, though. They're nice, but I'll be fine without it. And that's how Kourtney is. Like, she loves people and she's devoted to them and she's a good woman, but it's like her life doesn't fall apart. She has her own thing going on. And that's not something we can fake. So how do you take that and apply it to your life? Because really, isn't that the essence of Kourtney? And isn't that what we're all wanting to do? Be like a little bit hard to get. And I hate that it's called play hard to get because you can't play hard to get. And when you try, you look more desperate than ever. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, I'm breezy. I'm breezy. I don't care. I so don't care. I want to spend the entirety of this brunch talking about how much I don't care because I don't. I'm breezy. I have never been like breezy under the age of 23 in my entire life. But now that I'm older, I mean, I do have that vibe and I am actually hard to get. I'm not playing. I'm busy. I'm super, super busy. And I'm busy because that's how I like to be. And speaking of the Kardashians, like when I watch their show, I feel like sad and jealous, not because they're rich, not because they're famous, not because they're thin, or they have just this incredible skin that will like never wrinkle. It's because they're busy. And I love to be busy because when I'm busy, it means I'm achieving something. I'm doing things. I'm not just like spinning my wheels in my apartment, rambling around, accomplishing nothing. So I purposely try to keep my life busy because it means I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm making money. And I'm hopefully burning some calories. But that means the other upside to that is like, no, I actually don't accept a date the night of. No, I'm not coming over and chilling at your house after work. I have to change. I have something to do. You want me, you got to book me in advance. And if you don't, you're going to learn the hard way that means you don't get me. And I'm a lot of fun to get. I'm great in bed. So in order to be hard to get, you actually have to be hard to get. Fill your life with activities and not just like hollow activity, not just like fake stuffing activities to keep yourself busy, like seat filler activities. actually get some new hobbies, actually take that language class you've been meaning to, actually sign up for the dance class, actually work on that Etsy store. Do things that feed you. And so a few things are going to happen. So obviously, yeah, you're going to be busy. Like, no, I'm sorry, fuck boy. I don't accept this last minute date. And fuck boys are going to start to weed themselves out because fuck boys are impatient because they want to get in and out. In and out. I mean, like literally in and out. So if you're making it too hard to get together, they're on to the next. And that's good because a quality guy is going to think, oh my gosh, she's busy. Okay, I'm going to plan that date. I'm going to let her know that I am worth her precious, valuable, hard to get, non-renewable time. Even if that doesn't happen, but it will, you are going to be so much more fulfilled because your time and your life is going to be spent towards you, your goals, your passions, your organic curiosity. And when you do that, you become confident, actually confident, not fake Kourtney confident, and you become magnetic. When we do things that make us light up inside, we are magnetic. We are our best selves. We're our most generous selves. We're the best listeners, the best friends. We're happy, we're passionate, and other people want to be around that. It goes back to the leadership thing. We're pack animals. Don't you want to be around someone who's like living their best life, like truly their best life? That's why we idolize celebrities because, like I just said, I watch the Kardashians and I'm like, damn, they're so busy. They're doing so many things. They're coming up with new ideas for their career and passion projects. Like, I would love to be in that group of friends because I want that kind of inspiration. I would love to date someone like that because I like to be around someone who is activating, burning on all cylinders, and going after their goals because it makes me better. So it's pretty good stuff. So if you really did step into Kourtney tomorrow, you would be controlling, chronically late, bit of a narcissist, but you'd also be confident, busy, badass, and you have your boobs out. And you know what? That sounds pretty good to me, right? I think so. For more, find me on the Instant Go app if you want to chit chat privately. My username is Shallon XO, and click chat to get connected. And now it's time for happy endings. That's right, guys. Time for our little sex tip. And yeah, since we're talking about self-love, let's talk about self-love. So I hate the word masturbation. I got douche chills. I got the tingles. I hate that word. It's so Law and Order. You know, I can just picture like Ice Cube saying, we caught him masturbating on the Brooklyn Bridge wearing an Elsa costume from Frozen. You're just like, oh. So I like the term J off instead of jerk off because jerk off is also horrific and like violent. Like please don't. I don't want to be jerked and I don't want to see other people jerking around in any fashion. So I like the term J off or having some alone time, you know? Shallon's little alone time. It's very important that we have our alone time. Why? If I was talking to you about a car that you bought, and it's like, it's important that you read the manual and practice how to drive it. You wouldn't be like, really? That's weird. Maybe I just want someone to come over and drive me everywhere. All right, fine. Maybe you don't ever want to touch your own car yourself. Maybe you only want other people, guys or girls, to drive your car. You kind of have to know how to get in it. You kind of have to know where things are located, how to turn it on, how to back it out of the driveway, where the gas gauge is, right? You got to know a little. And isn't it better if you know a lot? Isn't it better if sometimes you can drive that car and you can drive someone else around, right? I think we're done with this metaphor. You need to masturbate. You need to understand how your own body works because we can't sit around waiting for guys to figure out something we own all the time. I mean, think about realistically how little time guys spend with the vagina, like aggregate in their whole life. I mean, when you're hooking up with a girl, you're like, not just like poking around. It's not like an exploratory recon, you know? You're like in to do a job, like you're interacting with it in a way that's supposed to be pleasurable and you're having sex and then it's done. You're not just like, let me just go back and like make a sketch. Like you really need to know what you're doing. So even let's say a sex session lasts a half hour. That should be short, guys. It should be longer than that. I mean, that's not much time. And it's certainly not a lot of learning time. So if you don't know how to work this machine that is your body, how is he going to know? We're in this body all the time. There is nothing dirty about our body. That is the patriarchy. It's not even religion. I don't think anywhere in the Bible it says, thou shalt not look at your own body that God made on purpose, fearfully and mightily, but only from like the waist up, because below it's disgusting. But above your knees, yeah, just there. That's ridiculous. It's oppression. Because when women don't know their body, when they're not comfortable with their sexuality, when they're made to feel ashamed and dirty, you know what they are? They're small, they're quiet. Shh. I'm not gonna stand up for myself in that board meeting. And no one, you're never in a meeting, you're like, ooh, my vagina grossing me out, so I'm not gonna ask for that raise. You don't put those two things together, right? But it is being put together in your mind, because what you've been told is that you are less than. Ooh, there's something fundamentally gross and weird about you. And that's going to bleed out all over everything. If you're gross and weird, you're probably dumb. You're probably incompetent. You're not going to be good at this. Let's not raise our hand. Guys don't think vaginas are gross. If they do, there's a name for guys like that. Homosexuals. That's fine. I don't know many homosexuals who try to force vaginas on themselves. They know what they like and they go for it. High five, guys. Straight guys who are grossed out by vaginas might want to switch teams. Or maybe they don't deserve to have sex in the first place. But you know, we, as we so often are our own co-conspirators in our hurting. We are also the ones engaging in that negative self-talk. And it's important for you to jay off, because then you're like, oh, hey, my vag doesn't just exist for a guy. It's not gross. It actually does a lot of cool things. Cool things that reduce stress and blood pressure, gets the blood pumping, and even makes your boobs bigger, makes your skin look great. So how do you actually like do it? I've had you guys ask me this, like, how do you pick a vibrator? How do you do the thing? Everyone is different, you know? Most cars run the exact same way, and to a degree, most vaginas do too. But this is the thing. Experiment. So there's two kinds of orgasms you can have, okay? There's the external orgasm from your clit. Your clit, the only thing it is put on your body to do is give pleasure. We're the only animal in the world that has something that functions purely for pleasure. Scientists cannot find an actual, like, logical reason for it aside from pleasure. Isn't that crazy? So, like, use it. God didn't put that there by accident. It wasn't like meant to go on the platypus and it ended up on us. It's there. Use it. It's not dirty. So that is something that's responsible to a vibrator. Then you can have an internal orgasm from your G-spot. The G-spot is kind of like a sort of like a raised, cushy area on the top of your vagina. Like if this is your vagina, like the top meaning here, like, yeah, like belly button side, not like back side. And it's about 3 inches in. And the G-spot, the orgasms are going to feel completely different, completely. The external is like, ba-ba, like the big thing, kind of like how guys have orgasms, because a man's penis is actually an overgrown clit. Like that when we develop in the womb, when there's an extra not an extra chromosome, because that gives you Down syndrome, a Y, science. When the boy develops, his clit, because we all start out female, grows, and then it's a penis, right? Because it has just as many nerve endings as a clit. Actually, ours has a lot more. But the G-spot orgasm is going to be different. It's going to be more like waves, you know? So it's not going to be this like ba-boom feeling. And it can make you be like, well, did I even have one? The way, if you're having sex or if you're by yourself, the way to actually have one is to kind of push down, almost like you're peeing, but not pee. And if a little stuff comes out, squirting is a whole different topic. I can do some research on that, though, if you want. It might be a little too much. Might be too much. My brow's showing. Oh, no, not a bra. So how do you have a G-spot orgasm? Well, it takes time. It takes like stimulation, fingers, toys, whatever. Just make sure it's safe. Make sure it's clean. You don't use like a banana because they're dirty. If you do, wrap a condom in it. Put a condom over it. Make sure your hands are always clean. No long nails like these. Don't you guys like my nails this time? Like, don't they look good? They're Kiss. They're like press-on nails. Check my Insta. I have a little tutorial. And it takes time. Like you have to kind of condition your G-spot to be orgasmic. But it is possible. But it takes some like off hours practice. And you know what I always say, guys? Sex is like anything else. You have to practice to be good at it. No one is disgusted hearing how a musician practices. No one thinks that he shouldn't practice. He should only come out on stage for his concerts and just know how to play. That's not how anything on planet Earth works. Nothing. Like, no one is mad that a carpenter is home, like, practicing building tables. He should just know how to do it. No. If you don't want to go out and, like, sleep with a bunch of people, that's fine. You got to stay home and practice, okay? If you want to be good at it, and, like, why not? Sex is the one thing that is just free. We just get to do it. So do it. Get weird. Try different things. Find out what you like. And then when you feel more comfortable with your body, you're going to be able to articulate it to your partner or anybody. You know, it's not going to be so weird and gross and taboo. Guys want to know how to please you. I've had so many guys say to me, like, I'm basically just fumbling around down there waiting for you to tell me what to do. And I was like, really? I was like, I was waiting for you to just do something to me. And they're like, how the hell would I know what you like? I was like, oh, that's true. And again, guys know this. Guys practice a lot, starting from about age 9. It's gross. Just don't put on a black light in a house where there's a boy ever. Just don't. But stay home with yourself every once in a while. You'll like it. If you guys have more questions on this, let me know. Leave your comments in the comment section, and find me on the Instago app if you want to chat one-on-one, and also find me on social media at ShallonXO on Insta, Snapchat, and Twitter, and click like and subscribe for new videos every Friday and every other day in between.